Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're diving into a really exciting topic that every English learner wants to master: pronunciation and accent.
Hey everyone, I'm Bill, and I'm so happy to be here again. Sarah, I have to say, pronunciation is something that gives so many learners a hard time. I still remember when I mispronounced the word focus in class, and everyone laughed because it sounded like something else.
Oh, I can imagine that. Pronunciation mistakes can be funny sometimes, but they're also part of the learning journey. What matters is how we improve from them.
Exactly. And today, we're going to talk about how you can master your English pronunciation and develop a clear, confident accent, even if English isn't your first language.
We'll explore why pronunciation is so important, how to train your mouth and ears, and what daily exercises can help you sound more natural and fluent.
And don't worry, you don't need to sound like a native speaker. The goal is clarity, confidence, and natural communication.
That's right. So if you've ever struggled with words that people didn't understand, or if you've felt shy speaking English because of your accent, this episode is for you.
Grab your headphones, relax, and stay with us till the end, because we've got some powerful tips, fun examples, and even a few pronunciation exercises coming up.
Let's get started and begin by understanding why pronunciation and accent actually matter in real English communication. So, Bill, before we dive into techniques and exercises, let's talk about why pronunciation and accent actually matter. Because sometimes learners think, I just need more vocabulary or grammar, and they forget how important pronunciation is.
You're absolutely right, Sarah. Many learners underestimate pronunciation. But honestly, you can know hundreds of words, and if people can't understand you when you speak, communication breaks down.
Exactly. Pronunciation isn't just about sounding pretty, it's about being understood. If your pronunciation is clear, people will listen to you more easily and you'll feel more confident when you speak.
That's so true. I remember one of my students who said, "Bill, I feel nervous speaking English because people keep asking me to repeat." It wasn't her grammar or vocabulary, it was just her pronunciation that made it hard for others to catch her words.
Yes. And when that happens, learners often lose confidence and start speaking less, which actually slows their progress. But once they improve their pronunciation, their confidence skyrockets.
And here's something interesting. Sometimes, even a small sound difference can completely change the meaning. For example, seat and sit, or ship and sheep.
Oh, yes. I once had a student who said, I want to sleep on a sheep, instead of sleep on a ship. It was so funny, but that's how small sound differences can make big changes.
Exactly. So, pronunciation matters not just for understanding, but also to avoid those funny or confusing moments.
And what about accent, Bill? Many learners feel insecure about their accent, like they must sound American or British to be fluent. What do you think?
That's a great point. I always tell learners, accent shows your identity. Pronunciation shows your clarity. You don't have to erase your accent, you just need to make your speech easy to understand.
Beautifully said. Accent makes you unique, it tells a story of where you're from. So instead of trying to sound perfect, focus on being clear and confident.
Exactly. When people understand you, your accent becomes your charm, not your barrier.
I love that. So the key takeaway here is pronunciation helps you communicate clearly, and your accent is a beautiful part of your identity. Both matter, but for different reasons.
Perfectly summarized, Sarah. And now that we understand why pronunciation is so powerful, I think it's time we explore how English sounds actually work.
Yes. Coming up next, we'll talk about phonetics, the building blocks of pronunciation, and how understanding sounds can totally transform the way you speak. All right, now that we know why pronunciation and accent are so important, let's talk about something a lot of learners skip: phonetics and sounds.
Yes, phonetics is basically the science of how sounds work in a language, how we move our mouth, tongue, lips, and even breath to produce each sound. It's like understanding the DNA of pronunciation.
Exactly. You know, English has around 44 different sounds, and many of them don't exist in other languages. That's why some sounds are so tricky for learners.
Right. For example, the sound theta in words like think or thank you doesn't exist in many languages. So, learners often replace it with a T or S sound like tink instead of think.
Yes, I've heard that a lot too. And the best way to fix it is by training your mouth and ears to recognize and reproduce the correct sound. You can practice by putting your tongue gently between your teeth and blowing air out the think, thank, Thursday.
Exactly. And another example is the IE and I sounds like in ship and sheep. It's a small difference, but it completely changes the meaning. Slowly. Ship, sheep. One is short, one is long.
Right. Ship, sheep. That's what we call minimal pairs, two words that sound almost the same but have different meanings because of one sound.
And practicing those minimal pairs daily is one of the best ways to train your ear. You start hearing the difference, and then your brain learns to produce it correctly.
That's a really important point you need to hear before you can speak correctly. Many learners try to speak without really listening to the sounds carefully.
Exactly. Listening is the foundation. If you listen actively to movies, podcasts, and real conversations, your brain starts to pick up the rhythm and melody of English.
And one more thing, learners should also pay attention to word stress and syllable stress. For example, we say PHOTOGRAPH, but PHOTOGRAPHY. The stress changes the pronunciation and rhythm completely.
Yes, stress is like the heartbeat of English. If you get it wrong, your speech can sound robotic or confusing.
Beautifully said, Bill. So to sum up this part, understanding sounds, listening carefully, and practicing minimal pairs are key to mastering pronunciation.
Absolutely. And up next, we'll talk about the difference between accent and pronunciation, because a lot of learners mix those two up.
That's coming right after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Now let's clear up one big confusion many learners have: the difference between accent and pronunciation. They sound similar, but they're actually quite different.
That's right, Sarah. Let's make it simple. Pronunciation is about saying the sounds of English correctly, like how you pronounce words such as world, thought, or comfortable.
Exactly. Pronunciation is about clarity, making sure people understand you.
And accent, on the other hand, is more about the style of your speech, the rhythm, tone, and melody that shows where you're from or what kind of English you speak, like American, British, or Australian.
Right. So, for example, a person from India, France, or Brazil might have different accents when speaking English, and that's completely fine. Accent shows your background. It's part of your identity.
Absolutely. I always tell learners, don't try to erase your accent, improve your pronunciation. You don't have to sound like a native speaker. You just have to sound clear and confident.
That's a great mindset. It's not about sounding perfect, it's about being understood and expressing yourself naturally.
And if you want to follow one accent like American or British, that's okay too. Just pick one and stay consistent, so your speech sounds smooth and natural.
Well said, Bill. So, to all our listeners, love your accent, but work on your pronunciation. That's the balance that makes you sound both confident and authentic.
Perfectly put, Sarah. And in the next part, we'll share practical techniques you can use every day to improve your pronunciation and train your accent naturally. Perfectly put, Sarah. And in the next part, we'll share practical techniques you can use every day to improve your pronunciation and train your accent naturally.
Stay with us. You'll definitely want to take notes for this next section. All right, now that we know what pronunciation really is and how it's different from accent, let's talk about the fun part, practical techniques to actually improve your pronunciation.
Yes, this is where learners can start training their mouths and ears every day. And the good news is, you don't need fancy tools. You can practice right at home.
Exactly. One of my favorite techniques is called listen and repeat. You pick a short audio clip, maybe from a movie, a podcast, or even a YouTube video, listen carefully, and then try to repeat exactly what the speaker says.
That's a great one. And you can take it one step further by using the shadowing technique. That's where you speak along with the audio, not after it, but at the same time. It helps you copy the speaker's rhythm, tone, and flow.
Yes, shadowing is amazing because it trains your mouth to move naturally in English. It's like learning a song, you start feeling the rhythm of the language.
And while doing this, pay attention to your mouth and tongue position. For example, when you pronounce the sound R in red, your tongue doesn't touch the top of your mouth, it slightly curls back. But in L, as in light, your tongue touches the top just behind your teeth.
That's a fantastic tip. It's small details like that which make a big difference. You can even practice in front of a mirror to see how your lips, tongue, and jaw move. That's called mirror practice.
Yes, and I always tell learners to record themselves. Record a short clip, maybe you reading a paragraph or speaking freely, and then listen back. You'll notice mistakes you didn't realize you were making.
That's such a powerful technique. When you hear yourself, you can compare your pronunciation with a native speaker and focus on the sounds that need improvement.
Exactly. And to make it more fun, you can also practice tongue twisters. They help you with speed, accuracy, and control. For example, try this one. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Oh, that's a classic. Or another one, red lorry, yellow lorry. It's hard, but great for pronunciation.
Yes, I still struggle with that one sometimes, but it's great practice for both native and non-native speakers.
And another useful method is practicing word stress and sentence rhythm. English is a stress-timed language, which means some words are strong and others are weak. For example, I want to go home. We stress want and go.
That's right. Practicing with natural rhythm makes your speech sound smoother and more fluent, not robotic.
So, to recap, listen and repeat. Try shadowing, record yourself. Use mirror practice. Play with tongue twisters. Practice stress and rhythm.
Exactly. If you add just 10 minutes of these exercises to your daily routine, your pronunciation will start to improve in a few weeks.
That's true. It's not about doing it for hours. It's about doing it consistently. A few minutes a day can completely transform your speaking clarity.
I love that. And after you've practiced pronunciation, you can start focusing more on your accent training, how to sound more natural and fluent in real conversations.
Yes, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. All right, we've practiced pronunciation now. Let's talk about accent training and how to sound more natural when speaking English.
Yes, this is where pronunciation meets rhythm, melody, and emotion. A lot of learners think accent is just about copying sounds, but it's much more than that. It's about how English flows.
Exactly. English has a kind of music, it rises and falls naturally. We call that intonation. For example, when we ask a question like, "Are you coming?" our tone goes up at the end. But when we make a statement like, "I'm coming," it goes down.
Right? Are you coming? Rising tone versus I'm coming. Falling tone. That rise and fall is what makes English sound natural and expressive.
And then there's sentence stress, the way we emphasize important words. For example, listen to this. I didn't say he stole the money. Depending on which word you stress, the meaning changes completely.
That's so true. Stressing different words changes what the listener understands. That's why mastering stress and intonation makes your speech sound natural, not flat or robotic.
Another part of accent training is something called connected speech, when words link together in fast conversation. For example, native speakers say want to like wanna, or going to like gonna.
Exactly. It's not lazy speech, it's natural rhythm. So instead of saying, I am going to eat, a native speaker says, I'm gonna eat. Practicing these natural connections helps you blend your words smoothly.
And a great way to train that is by listening to native speakers in movies, TV shows, or podcasts like this one. Try to notice how they connect words and imitate that rhythm.
Yes, mimic the melody, not just the words. That's how you train your ear to sound more natural.
So, accent training isn't about copying a country, it's about understanding how English breathes. When you combine pronunciation, intonation, stress, and rhythm, your speech becomes more alive and expressive.
Beautifully said, Sarah. And the best part is, the more you listen and repeat, the more your accent improves naturally without forcing it.
Exactly. So, up next, we'll talk about some of the most common pronunciation mistakes English learners make and how to fix them easily.
Stay tuned, this next part might surprise you.
Welcome back. Now, let's talk about something every English learner faces: common pronunciation mistakes and how to fix them.
Yes, these are mistakes that can make speech unclear or even change the meaning of words. And the good news is, once you know them, they're usually easy to correct with practice.
Let's start with some common vowel mistakes. For example, learners often confuse ship and sheep. The difference is small: one is short, the other is long, but it completely changes the meaning.
Right! And another common problem is the theta sound. Like in think or thank, many learners replace it with T or S, so it becomes tink instead of think.
Consonants are tricky too. For instance, the R sound in red is often pronounced softly or dropped in some accents. But practicing tongue placement can fix that.
And don't forget about word endings. Learners often drop the final sounds in words like walked or stopped, which can make sentences sound incomplete.
So how do we fix these? One step at a time. Focus on one sound or one word pattern at a time. Listen carefully, repeat slowly, and record yourself.
Exactly. And practicing minimal pairs helps a lot. For example, bat versus bet, full versus fool, pen versus pin. It trains your ear and your mouth at the same time.
The key is patience and consistency. Even 5 to 10 minutes of focused practice every day can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And once you fix these small mistakes, your speech will sound much clearer, more confident, and more natural.
Up next, we'll explore some tools, resources, and daily practice tips that make improving your pronunciation and accent easier than ever. Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've talked about common pronunciation mistakes, let's explore some tools, resources, and daily tips that can help you practice English effectively.
Yes, the great thing is, there are plenty of free and paid tools that make pronunciation practice easy and fun. For example, apps like Elsa Speak or Speechling give instant feedback on your pronunciation.
Exactly. And if you prefer YouTube, there are tons of channels that focus on pronunciation and accent practice. You can even use subtitles to match what you hear with how it's written.
Another helpful resource is Youglish. It lets you hear how words are pronounced by native speakers in real sentences. It's perfect for practicing tricky words in context.
And here's an important tip. Try to create a daily English speaking environment. Even if it's just 10 to 15 minutes, speak out loud, record yourself, or practice shadowing dialogues.
Yes! Daily practice is more effective than long but irregular sessions. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to pronunciation and accent.
You can also make it fun, read short stories aloud, sing along with English songs, or even mimic your favorite movie characters. This helps your mouth get used to English sounds naturally.
Exactly. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's about clarity, confidence, and gradual improvement.
Perfect. And after practicing with tools and daily exercises, you'll notice your accent becoming smoother and your pronunciation much clearer.
Up next, we'll share some real-life success stories and motivational tips to keep you inspired on your English journey.
Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've shared techniques, tools, and tips, let's talk about something just as important: motivation. Learning pronunciation and accent can take time, so having inspiration really helps.
Absolutely, Sarah. I want to share a story about one of my students. She struggled with English pronunciation for years and was very shy about speaking. But she committed to 10 minutes of practice every day, shadowing, recording herself, and repeating difficult words.
And the results?
Within a few months, her confidence skyrocketed. She could speak clearly in meetings and even give presentations without feeling nervous. Her accent improved naturally, and more importantly, she no longer feared speaking English.
That's amazing. It really shows that consistency and patience are the keys. Small daily improvements add up to big results.
Exactly. And I also want to encourage all our listeners, don't compare yourself to native speakers. Every learner's journey is different. Focus on your progress and celebrate every small victory.
Yes, pronunciation isn't just a skill, it's a confidence booster. The clearer you speak, the more empowered you feel in conversations, at work, or even in social situations.
And remember, even if you have an accent, that's your identity. Combine your unique accent with clear pronunciation, and you'll sound confident and natural.
Beautifully said, Bill. And speaking of clarity and confidence, let's wrap up today's episode with some final thoughts and key takeaways for our listeners. And that's a wrap for today's episode on how to master English pronunciation and accent. We've talked about why pronunciation matters, the difference between accent and pronunciation, practical techniques, and tips to practice every day.
Exactly. Remember, clarity, consistency, and confidence are key. You don't need a perfect accent. You just need to be understood and feel confident speaking English.
So pick one technique, practice a little every day, and celebrate your progress. Small steps lead to big improvements.
And don't forget to listen actively, record yourself, and imitate natural English rhythms. Over time, you'll notice a real difference.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, share it with your friends, and keep practicing your English every day.
Keep speaking, keep improving, and remember, your voice matters. See you in the next episode.